It's obvious it's a Thursday once you see me here. Time check, 9 p.m. I'm sure. Have you checked your time already? Yeah, just check. You see it's 9. The moment you see it's 9 and it's a Thursday, it's me. I'm here in your lounge, and we're going to have a very interesting discussion this week. Last week, we spoke about commitment, and as I told you, it is seen as though men are not the committed ones. But statistically, it was proven that the women are scared of commitment than men. That is all I remember. Anything else that was said last week, me, I don't remember, so don't ask me. So just by way of information, we are grateful to be here this evening, courtesy Alomo Kasapreko, Alomo Bites, and also to thank you for being part of the show. Now, feel free and join us on all our social media pages at e.TVGhana. So on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, is at e.TVGhana. Let me also remind you that e.TV is 10 years, and like I keep calling for, bring in your adverts. You're going to have very beautiful discounts that will allow you to place your adverts and get some good marketing value out of it. And also, there is an all-white party that will be happening just because we are 10 years. It started already, but this 10th year is going to make it even much bigger. Look out for the adverts and some special invitations that will be thrown out there too. But when you are invited, please come wearing white. Be an angel like me. And I think I'm giving you too much information. I'll take my first break. When I'm back, we shoot straight into the discussion where I have three very handsome gentlemen. I'll introduce them after this commercial break. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's e.TV Ghana and we're in the men's lounge. We always do this on Thursday, every Thursday at 9 p.m. You join us and we bring you all the goodies that you'd always expect. The guys are making me laugh, but I'm trying to be very nice. So I did mention earlier that today, surprisingly, I have three guests. It's becoming hotter in the lounge. Everybody wants to be part of the lounge now. But yeah, that's what it is. So I have three guests. I'm going to introduce them shortly. But before that, today my name has changed, so it's the usual Nanaya Odami, but today is CEO Nanaya Odami. I'm sure you understand by the time I'm done with the introduction. So my first guest is Stephen Asiedu. Stephen Asiedu is an ex-banker. He's an entrepreneur, CEO Cleaver Lines Company Limited. Stephen,
hi.
Akwaba.
Thank you.
Everything cool?
Maybe I will call.
The week was nice, no issue.
It's been okay.
Okay, so that's Stephen. And then the next guest we have Emmanuel E.K. Awumi. We know him as Cecil. I mean, everybody knows him as Cecil. And so Emmanuel is a startup business development analyst. He's a car care consultant, just up a car. You know, I don't know whether he drinks fuel, but yeah, that's what it is. And he's also the CEO of Cecil Ventures, so that's why he's known as Cecil. Ima?
Yes, boss.
Akwaba. Stevie there, he's sitting foul, so I couldn't.
You couldn't get
I can understand. You see, I can fill out.
And so the next person also I have Anthony Jamepe. Listen, look at my lips. Anthony Jamepe. Yeah, from that side, Jamepe. And so Jamepe is the CEO, Caveman and Timepiece Ghana. Guy.
Today you try.
Your white nice, oh.
Thank you. I for try to be like you, you know.
Yeah, sorry,
I'll follow you.
Okay, so today we are going to be discussing. Today we'll be talking about building a successful business, and you already heard CEO, and me too, CEO. So today we are talking business. I mean, building a successful business. How do you go about it? What is the mindset? When we say successful business, what do we mean? Is it just going to sit behind your laptop in the morning and then surf on the line and then find some things, put them together and think you can just go out there and make it happen? What is it? What really is it? We need to know. And today we have these three handsome men. They are all CEOs, ex-banker. You see, when somebody's an ex-banker and he's no more in the bank, you can tell that he has found where the money is. When you are in the bank and you are looking at people's money, it's not your money. Find your own, and he has found it. That's why he's called CEO today. Guys,
you go find matter. Go find matter.
Anyway, yeah, it's just I'm sure people will understand. So, guys, today we are starting or building a successful business. I mean, let's start from the basics. Is there any way we can define a successful business or building a successful business? Can there be a definition to it? Anyway, any of you can take it. We start.
I think it's a bit relative, right?
Of course, it's very relative.
So then we probably will look at the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Well.
So you want to look at identifying a problem and finding a solution to it. Not only finding the solution, but how sustainable would you be finding the solution to keep that business running, to give you the monetary value to it. So you found a business, you found an idea, you found a problem, you're finding a solution to it, being able to sustain it so that you can in turn get monetary value to it is what seriously matters and basically goes into business. So the sustainability bit of having the business to run is what we look at. And so with that end, you want to look at the customer. Whom are you solving the problem for? Is the customer. And then you are also looking at the brand, packaging and branding. Okay, so when you look at these three major factors, the customer, your packaging, your branding, then you are looking at the sustainable aspect of it.
Interesting. So being that the sustainability really matters, what really will be the fundamentals of probably wanting to be an entrepreneur? Like, I mean, should we have a particular mindset that, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, so this is my mindset, I'm going to be a wicked man, or I'm going to be smiling, or what is it?
I mean, I'll just take this one. For you to be an entrepreneur, like you said, you need to have a certain mindset. It's not everybody that is cut out for entrepreneurship. Some people are best as employees because they are good at maybe doing a particular thing and following, you know, a certain structure. They work well within a structure, you know. But then some people are born leaders. They are born starters. Some people are self-motivators. So for you to want to go into entrepreneurship, you need to ask yourself, am I a self-starter? Do I self-motivate myself? Is it something that I have the passion for? You know, and like my brother rightly said, is there a problem? Can I find a solution to the problem? And can I market my solution differently such that I can be competitive to other solutions that are on the market? And can I get enough returns, you know, to justify the investment? The investment here could be time, energy. There are some investments you cannot quantify, you know, but as a startup, you may not want to put straight values on these things, like your time, your energy, your network here and there. But once the business picks up, I always tell people that you need to begin to value these things. Because there are companies today that their brand value alone, you know, can actually start
it's worth
another
billions.
company, you know,
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. So,
Yeah, I've
Tony,
always said it's about the most important thing for me is to identify yourself. You know, identify yourself and be true to who you are. You know, you don't try to follow a trend, seeing people being entrepreneurs, CEO here, so you also want to fit in there. Like my brother rightly said, you know, we are all different. Some people fit perfectly into the bureaucratic environment, some don't. You know, for somebody like me, it took me a while to identify myself, and I embraced what I found. And I could just sit down and realize that every place that I have worked, no, trouble, every time trouble. I'm breaking one rule or the other every time, you know. Then you just have to know that, I mean, that's not you, and accept it, you know. But there are people who are just trying very hard to fit into places where they don't belong, and they're still struggling. But when you really identify yourself and you accept yourself, there's nothing wrong in being different and creating a path. But, you know, the system that has been laid before we came, there's a pattern. You know, finish school, take your certificates, go and look for a job. It's like a rigid system, and you have to go through it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are very scared to break out of the norm, you know. So yeah.
But you don't think, okay, go on.
Yeah, it's actually what he's saying. For instance, you get to some corporate environment and you realize that some people tend to have the passion in entrepreneurship, but the fear factor of the unknown get them gripped down. You know, and so because it's like I can be assured of how much I'll be taking at the end of the month, But
And then you stop, and then what if?
What if?
What if?
What if that's so much?
In an entrepreneurial field, you can't really always gauge and say, "Hey, I'm making this." Yeah, at the end of the month, definitely. Yeah, so there are sacrifices out there, and the fear.
So for a young person that's striving to be an entrepreneur, are there some specific skills and values that a young person should have to want to be or to be an entrepreneur?
Maybe I'll just take on that. You can just add on. I think that for somebody, probably a young man or young woman who wants to start entrepreneurship, first, like I said, he just added on: know yourself, know what you're capable of doing, identify the problem, identify the solution. But it's not just enough identifying the problem and finding the solution. You have to look at the commercial side of the solution. Okay, and you have to actually work the commercial side. The mistake most of us do is that, oh, I see my friend doing this business and he's making money. Oh, I got some money, borrowed some money from my friends, I want to enter. Forgetting that there are some details that perhaps might have gone into how this other guy, started his business, and the financials, behind the business. So you don't just look at the end product and then just think that, oh, because I also have some money, I want to go and start entrepreneurship. Oftentimes, we don't even do our projected cash flow analysis. We just assume that, oh, okay, I know this man, he can give me a contract. So you go invest in a small setup, employ 1 or 2 people, and then you are hopeful. So we are more speculative, than actually taking your time. Some people want to leave their corporate environment and then go and start entrepreneurship. What they do is that they begin the entrepreneurship while they're working for someone. And then till they get to the point where at least the company is breaking even. Then they break out, because the uncertainties are a lot.
Is that not unfairness?
I'm not sure it's unfairness, because so long as the time used to create my business does not interfere with my official time in my corporate setup, I'm not sure there's any cheating at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, talking about a very important attribute that a young entrepreneur should have. I used to say that sometimes our parents misinterpret our attributes, right? Somebody like me, they would always say, "You're stubborn. You're the stubborn type. The stubborn type."
But you are stubborn.
Instead of
If you are stubborn,
instead of calling it stubbornness, right? I would call it focus, dedication, determination. Okay, when parents find these kind of attributes in their children, they should know how to nurture it, right? Because it's one very important element to be focused. Because a lot of people would give you different ideas. Do this, do this, do this. But if you don't have that ability to pick one and go for it, then you will just be moving around. I think that attribute of being focused on one thing, whatever people say, I'm going to do this, is very important. Yeah.
So it's one of the attributes we should look at. And obviously extends to our families, that when they see these things amongst the younger folk, they shouldn't discourage them. They should actually possibly try to find out what it means.
What it means, how to direct it. Yeah, how to direct that.
So actually just what they said. So for instance, you identify that skill, that product, the packaging aspect is very critical. Now, so I had to deal with a situation where I needed to get a technician to come and solve a problem. Now, we looked all around for this particular type of technician.
Was it for a vehicle?
For a vehicle, yes. We couldn't get. Now, they directed me to a guy at Abosokai. The guy was good. I would have paid him about 2,000 cedis if he had charged me, right? But the way he packaged himself was that bad. But he has a lot of knowledge upstairs. He has the skill. He solved the problem just within an hour. A job that was sitting down for about a month.
Wow.
So you can imagine.
Okay. And so the packaging then is what defines the value that
the packaging contributes a lot to value. And so that's another aspect they want to look at and position themselves once you want to be in entrepreneurship. It's not just about solving the problem. You want to package yourself well. You want to brand yourself well. Meet the standards, and you should be able to. In
that case, which of these will be the most important value or attributes? Let me put it that way.
Branding.
Don't you agree?
I would say they are equally important, all of them.
I think they are equally important. I
think
mean,
all of
you
them.
need to have a bit of all of it, you know, to be able to drive you through what objective you want to achieve. If you just have one of them, or you focus on one, you may fall short on the other. So, like you said, you may be very excellent at it, but your branding may give you out. You know, you may do a good branding, but maybe you will fall short of, you know, content. You know, so people will come to you and you might not be able to deliver the value that you have been preaching. So it has to go hand in hand.
So then you put all of three on the same scale.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so before we move on, in terms of the branding, for instance, all the attributes fit into branding. When I mention your name or I mention your brand, I should just see it's a characteristic of your whole makeup.
Yeah.
Including your performance, your attitude, your timing, your packaging, and everything. So once the brand is mentioned, oh, that is the person. You know, so we shouldn't look at branding to be just the image or just the name, but it should represent a holistic package of the entire business or the entire person. Yeah, this is what's
well said. If you're just joining us, it's still e.TVGhana. We are in the men's lounge. Today we are discussing starting a successful business and how you probably would nurture it or grow it to make it become one of the ones that you want to hear of. I don't know how MTN started, but I'm sure it probably may have started, you know, from a very low point, gradually. But listening to these three people, I did mention that someone is an ex-banker, Stephen, and when you listen to him, he's already talking figures.
Yes.
When you listen to Cecil is telling us about how branding is very important because he would have paid someone if the person had, you know, branded himself. Tony is also telling us about how he thinks family could play some role. Let's look at it, I mean, in this way. You realize that we are talking business, but then there are three very key elements here. Statistically, accounting, making sure that you have your figures right. Either you're breaking even to some point and then continuing from there, and that is when you know you are making it or not. Looking at how you present yourself.
Exactly.
And then Tony thinks family plays a key role.
Focus, dedication.
So for a young guy who wants to start and have a successful business, probably obviously will be the manager from the start of it and even to the end of it. What should a young guy do from the start, like from the scratch? I'll take from Stephen. I want a typical example. Leaving the bank, how did it start? When I come to you, I don't know how it started. I want to know, as a young guy, how did it start? Right. Tony, how did it start? I'll start from Stephen.
You know, to be able to start a business at a very young age, where all your friends probably are also struggling as you because they probably have not worked enough, they are not big men in various positions to be able to even give you contracts. You know, what you want to do is to be a master of what you want to do. So, for instance, I left the bank after almost 10 years of banking, and the motivation for me to leave was that I presided over customer accounts that the founders were probably, excuse me to say, illiterate, but we're running very good volumes, very good business. So I asked myself, what makes him different from me? Probably he has a drive that I probably am denying myself that, you know. So I had to find, first, you need to find the right money. People, motivational speakers will tell you that you don't need money to start a business. I disagree. And I disagree from the point where even to make phone calls, to pick a car and go chase up something, costs you money.
Yeah.
So you need to have, however little your seed fund is, you need to have some money to work with. It could be from friends, from family, or from some, you know, financier. But you need to find that startup capital. It may be small, but don't discount it. Because in this country, coming from a banking background, we don't finance startups. Bankers are not comfortable giving their money for you to go and start a business because the risk is so high, and he can't go and take somebody's deposit and give it to you to go and gamble.
Of course not.
You understand?
Yeah.
So rather, bankers prefer somebody who has tried, tested, and then probably has some platform. Then they can finance you to expand. So let nobody kid you. Ghana is not like Europe where once the idea is good, they will give you money, and once you do your first year and you pay back, or you show prospects of capacity to pay back, they can give you a loan for close to 20 years. And then that's why their companies are big, and they're able, even if it's a small scale company, it's big because you have access to funding that gives you a 20-year repayment period. So your payback, the interest rates are very low. We don't have that facility in Ghana. So let no one kid you that if you want to go into entrepreneurship, you don't need money. That's a big joke. You need some money. But then once you have that money, you need to know how to use that money. It should be used on the important things for the business. So what are the core elements that drives your business? For instance, you are into, say, printing. I do printing, so you are into printing. You don't have your own press, but you are able to market. So what you want to do is to go and find 1 or 2 print houses that you can have good partnerships with. That when you bring your job to them, they'll give you that, they'll do the job for you at good quality but cheaper price. And then the turnaround for you is quicker. So you need to focus on nailing these things. Once that is done, your next level is to identify. Of course, you should have identified your target market. As you're doing all this. So you begin to approach your target market. I always would say, if you want to do any business, before you step out to start, do a list. You should probably do a list of about 100 list of target customers. Do 100. Your first 3 months, go to all the 100 of them. So you do 2-3 a day. Chances are that by your 4th month, some 5 will be giving you some job. That is how you approach the business. Unless, of course, you have some godfather somewhere that says, okay, you come every day, I give you business. But that is not sustainable. What is sustainable is for you to have a good mix of clientele. That gives you sustainability. You don't take concentration risk on one person. The day he's not there, you're messed up.
Becomes a problem.
So you need to first of all start training yourself to go all out there and sell yourself. So go to every target market, put your proposal there, you don't need to know anybody. Go there, find out who is the decision maker. That's one thing most of us don't do. Go in there, find out who the decision maker is, find a way to meet him, introduce your company. They may not need you today, but someday. And you don't also stop knocking. You knock today, oh, we don't need this service, but then when we need it, we'll call you. The next month, call again. Keep calling. As you keep calling, the day you might call and drop the phone, they may have need. And that guy has been harassing us, let's call him. So in terms of wanting to grow your business, you need to have that attitude for sales. You need it. It is the only way you can actually be able to grow. So first, find the money. Second, have a list of clientele base. Go after them. But keep a consistent follow-up attitude. And trust me, if you go to 100 customers in 3 months, the probability is that you get some 5 giving you some business.
Out of the 100?
Yes.
That's just like sales and marketing. You keep knocking and you get, but it has to be so much for you to get a few.
Yes, you have to, because in this country, the normal practice we all know is who you know.
Yeah.
Okay? But then I have come to learn that who you know can push you up to a point. But for you to be sustainable, you need to have a mix of clientele base. Who would know you for your quality, your reliability, you understand, and the kind of competence you possess as a business. So that even if the person you know who is supposed to be helping you is no longer there, they still trust in the fact that they can come to you. Whoever takes over can have the assurance that, oh, you will deliver.
And then there's a track record that proves what you have been able to do in the past. Cecil, a young person trying to start up something and hoping to manage to make it successful.
A young person starting, he talked about you definitely need to find money.
No, but I mean, I told you, ex-banker.
Yeah.
But
then actually finding that money can come in various forms. Right. So you want to look at the virtual business concept. And actually that is one of the fastest and easiest way every startup will want to use. Now, you don't necessarily need to have the capital. What you need to do is have the idea and identify experts that you can put together to accomplish that idea.
Hold on. See, it's anyway. Well, it wasn't carved in stone to say that okay, you don't or you need it at all costs, right?
Yeah.
Because Stevie was saying that look, it's more like a fallacy to think that you don't need the money.
You need it.
But you are saying you don't really.
Yeah. So, for instance, I started cashless business,
Okay.
right? The banks, like he rightly said, were not ready to give me capital. How do I raise it? Okay, so what I had to do was to identify some natural talents I have in art. So like the way you set up your studio here, I have those natural talents in it. I can partition an open space into diverse different offices. Okay, so what I do is I go out there to identify a shop or an office that is being set up. So when you go to like airport residential areas, when these expatriates come, they want to get a house and use the same house as residence and at the same time an office.
Office, yeah.
Okay, so I see that renovation is going on. I come in there, introduce myself. Well, I can partition and get you an office setup. Okay, go ahead. Now, what do I need? It's much of a carpentry work. I have the design up. So I go and find that carpenter that I know have that good quality taste of work. He charges me. All right, I bring him on board. It gets to furniture, it gets to carpets. I goes to the carpet shop. I tell you, this is the contract I have. Come and take your measurements and give me your costing. So I bring all these people on board. They give me their costing. I present it. Now I have to build credibility to start with them. So they pre-finance whilst I introduce them to the business because they've come to the site. They pay, they give me my commission. All right?
Okay.
I keep building capital through that. And that is how I built capital to be able to buy my first machine for Cecil. Okay.
Wow.
So you realize that I didn't have the money.
Yeah.
I depended on experts through credibility.
Okay.
So credibility is a value that can be converted into money. So if you are a credible person, you can get people to pre-finance project for you. You will raise the money from there. So I don't necessarily need to go to the bank, but I can use your expert knowledge to raise funds for myself. It depends on how you mold it.
Okay.
And so I did that. So for instance, there was this company that had to do some job for me. I was paid and I had to pay them. What I did was to give them a post-dated check because I wanted to build credibility. So I gave them the post-dated check while the money was in the bank. So I gave them post-dated check for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, they presented a check. It went through. I did that for a period of 6 months. Now this time around, when I tell them I'm paying them in 3 months, they don't have a problem because I have been able to build credibility with them. So I can now take a contract without them. They go and do the job and I pay them.
Very smart.
I don't think that's credible. I think it's
No, it's very smart. I like it.
I know, yeah. But
Plan.
so that was a very smart one.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I have the money in the account and
Yeah.
I'm sure they will definitely get their money. And every businessman wants to make sure he presents a check and he goes through.
Yeah, it's something I do. For example, if I need a loan of X amount, 5,000 cities, I would only take a loan of 5,000 when I already have 5,000. I wouldn't use my 5,000, but I make sure I have the amount before I take it from you.
Okay.
So at
Yeah.
any point in time,
Yeah,
you go there and it's
so I
there.
don't take a loan that I don't have already.
I see. And so these are some of the attributes you think a younger person who is
Yeah.
trying to go
So they
into
should
successful
look out for
business
credit. They
with
should be credible.
credible.
You don't want to take that money or supply that product. They pay you the money and off you are gone. You'll be breaking your leg. You know, so credibility is key, and you can convert that credibility into money so much.
Yeah, and
Anthony.
Yeah, you know, I've always believed that there is no one particular principle that will solve every problem. You know, depending on the kind of business you're doing, you may need cash, you may not need cash. For his business, it was more about his talents, his God-given talents. So it doesn't require cash to start. But for some businesses, you can start without money. In my case, I started with money, quite minimal, but I had to start with money. And I would always say that the plan or the strategy is key. Okay, no matter the business you want to start, whether you need cash or not, strategy goes above everything for me. Because there are people who don't spend anything, but they're able to connect the dots and still make money. So in my case, sometimes too it could be accidental. Somebody like me. Now, I love watches too much at some point. somewhere 4 or 5 years ago, I never liked watches. And people get surprised when I say that. But I was working somewhere, and then it was not a very good job, let me put it that way. I wasn't making much money. But then, you know, having personal ambitions, I would always sit down and think, this amount of money I get paid a month, no. Before the month even ends, I've exhausted, I've even borrowed some money, you know. So every month passes by without any savings.
Yeah.
If I continue this way, how long? What would I do with my life? When would I be able to buy a plot of land, maybe lay a brick? And I had been there for like maybe 3 years, I think. So logic says that the next 3 years I'll still be there, and that was not enough for me. So where I was working, there was a guy doing the same job. I would always tell him, Charlie, we have to leave this place. So, and you know, he was that kind of typical Ghanaian, like a typical person who'd be like, Charlie, I know the money is no good, but where are you going? Charlie, it's better to take this small money and know that every month this money will come. Where are you going? You know, what if you leave and you don't get a job? And I said, you know what? For me, it's all or nothing. Okay, it's all or nothing. So the more I kept trying to convince him to come with me, let's go and start a business, he tried to hold me down. And I said, you know what? I think I'm talking to the wrong guy, so let's not have this talk again. And I just resigned from my job. Okay, so I believed in myself that I was capable of too much to end up being poor. Because some of us are blessed in that way. We are multi-talented. I could do a lot of things when I put my mind to them. So I resigned, and then I just walked into a shop to buy a watch. I had a watch that was never working, but I always wore it. I said, now let me change this watch. I walked into a shop, and then I think the watch was like 150 cedis then, and I had 50 cedis. I do everything. The guy said, nah, last par 130. Then I just went back into my room, and I said, I remember I saw a watch on one of these online shops before for 50 cedis, and I just bought the watch. The guy came, delivered the watch to me. I thought it was a nice watch, and I took a picture of it. I put a picture on my WhatsApp DP. The status thing was not there then. And then somebody saw it and said, oh, a nice watch. Are you selling it? And I said, yeah, I'm selling it. You know. So he came over and then he bought the watch. And I made some profit. Then I was just like, I just sat home. I didn't break a sweat, and I just made this money. So what if I sold 2? What if I sold 3? What if I sold 4? Started walking up and down my room. I took paper, started writing things down. Then I called a guy. Charlie, the watch you came to sell to me, do you still have more? He said, yes. I said, okay, bring 2. Then I bought 2. And I sold 2. And I bought 3. And I sold 3, and I bought 4, and I kept going on. But you know, this guy, the shop I went to, and I couldn't afford a watch. It's a little container right in front of my house called Ibrahim. So I went to Ibrahim now, and I said, Ibrahim, you know what? I want to take pictures of your watches in your shop. I don't have money to buy them. Let me just take pictures of them. I'll put the pictures out there. When I get any buyer, I'll come and, you know. So I started taking pictures of his watches. I didn't have the money to buy them, but I had the strategy. So I take the pictures and I put the pictures out there. When somebody wants to buy, I dash into his shop, take the watch, deliver, come back, give him his money, put my share in my pocket. And it kept going on. To a point where one time somebody wanted to buy a watch. The person had already paid the money. And I went to Ibrahim and he said, oh, the watch has run out of stock. I said, oh, I've taken the money already. When am I going to get it? This guy kept just tossing me left and right. I'm like, I'm coming to give you money. Why are you tossing me up and down? So it pushed me to a point where I had to find the source. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll find the source. So started doing my research, made friends with these guys who hawk watches in traffic, trying to find, and I found the source. So I had to cut that guy off, found the source. And when I found the source, I started thinking that these people who give me the watches, where do they also get it from? I'm like, no, I'm going to cut them also off, find their source. And I found their source. Then after finding their source, I'm like, no, these people, I mean, now manufacturing the watches is the limit. If there was anything beyond that, maybe I'll be looking for it. You know, so started with basically a plan and very minimal capital.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I mean, the strategy
the
is
strategy is, yeah.
Well,
So,
guys,
it's
I get
variable,
that.
yeah.
I get that. If you're just joining us, it's still e.TV Ghana. We're in the men's lounge, and we are talking business today. Starting up a small business and growing it to become one of the most successful ones that you'd ever think of. Now, 2 out of the 3 of my guests here have something special. They didn't know I'll talk about it, but when we are back after this the second break, I'll tell you about that, and then we can move on. Please stay with us. Right, so the WhatsApp lines are open now. I mean, it's been open from the start, but I expect that you start sending us your contributions, and I will put it out there for everybody to know. So it's 02022222054. That's for the WhatsApp line, and then for the phone lines we have 0555657270. But it's not open yet, so please don't call. When it's open, I'll let you know so that you can make the calls. Now, it will interest you to know that Tony here and Stephen were award recipients for the recent 40 under 40. I call it entrepreneurs, because I mean at this level they can't be anything less. So they got awards, and gentlemen, congrats.
Thank you.
It's not late to congratulate you, right?
Yeah, it's not. Never
It's not
late.
late.
Maybe the next one when I join
Thank you, bro. Thank
when
you,
I join the Hall
Thank
of
you.
Fame, don't worry, my product will come, you get to know. But when I join the Hall of Fame, we'll be standing together, you know.
No problem.
Tony will be on my left, Stephen will be on my right, whilst I receive it. Reverend Albright and Henry, I've been signaled that you are watching. We are very grateful. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you also with your comments on this show. Guys, let's come back. So, I'm sure you must have faced challenges. I mean, listening to Stephen, I know already that our system alone is a challenge. I mean, in terms of financially, the kind of system we run in this country is already a challenge. Listening to you also, you can obviously tell financially, it's perhaps the ideation of this whole thing is also can be a challenge for quite a number of people.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you may have gone through? I mean, I want to make it very specific to you and
Okay.
what you're doing. I want to know some of the challenges.
Okay, I mean, for personally, printing I do oftentimes is contract based. So somebody says, okay, I need you to produce these things for me, and that's where you make your money. Okay, so when you are not getting contracts, then you are in trouble. Now, these contracts, depending on who you know at that place, you could be getting the contract. But once that person is changed, you know, he also comes with his own people.
The cycle starts
You
all
know,
over.
You understand? So one of the challenges is that you have to have like a sales mentality where constantly you should be recruiting new clients and still asserting your quality, you know, because it's not, you're not guaranteed tomorrow in my kind of business, you know, because you are at the mercy of your customers. It's more like a buyer's market.
Yeah.
They determine, you know, how your business grows. But what I always advise people who are into this kind of business is that what works in this current Ghana is actually to do trading. And that's why what he's saying is very exciting, because people would buy, people will consume. Ghana is predominantly a consuming nation. We don't produce anything. We put very few, you know, items. So people consume a lot. So if you're doing my kind of business, where you practically go look for contracts, the next thing you want to do is to see if you can add a trading leg, so that whilst your contract is not coming, trading can sustain you.
Yeah.
Because people will buy every day. You know, so what I tell people who want to do business is that, yes, it's not like developed countries where you can have a contract signed for 2 years, and you know for the next 2 years that contract is untouched. Here, depending on who is the boss, contract can be cancelled.
Yeah.
You know, so you probably cannot forecast, and you cannot rely on the forecast. Anything at all can happen, you know, and then your business, the foundations of the business is shaken. So you always need to find a certain base, you know, where you have control. Okay, so he brings watches and sell. He goes to bring his own watch and come and sell. So you can, if you don't give him contract, he can survive.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the point some of us have gotten to, that we may have to transition quickly to get a trading, leg of our business. So yes, this is one of the challenges I've encountered. But for the most of entrepreneurs, you mentioned money, funding as one of the major challenges. Yeah. The other challenge is the tax regime. Because I want to start a business. My capital is maybe 5,000 cedis, and I want to buy and sell, or I want to be taking some small jobs here and there as contracts. And GRA is asking you to get tax clearance and all of that, and you'll be assessed even when you are producing zero. You'll be assessed and be given a certain tax amount to pay. So, and in fact, the basic assessment they'll give you in today's Ghana is about 4,000 cedis. So your 5,000 is already gone. How much does it cost to register a business?
Wow.
So by the time you register your business and then get started with the basic documentation to enable you to do business in Ghana, you've lost your capital. You understand? So we may have to also look at that regulatory side. And even when you started business and you're making sales and GRA comes to the way they treat you, they don't see you as somebody who wants to grow a business that will contribute to the tax pool. They rather want to frustrate you to fold up. So until we evolve a tax regime that is customer friendly, in other jurisdictions, the tax regimes are so developed such that you can actually measure the tax revenue in Oxford Street alone. Okay, so the GRA or the tax authority can tell you that in this month, this is how much we raise from Oxford Street. So for the whole year, maybe after doing the analysis of the various locations and tax revenues, maybe Oxford Street raised the most, or High Street raised the most taxes. So on the registration dates of these companies, GRA actually calls you and then congratulates you for how successfully you've grown your business, and say, okay, for having paid your taxes consistently and having been for being part of the area that contributed the most tax, we're giving you a tax holiday, or we're actually giving you 5% off your tax. I am thinking the tax regime should be customer friendly. That way, you see, the Americans, we sit here and think of, oh, America is developed. They develop based on micro businesses. Micro businesses, small startups. Somebody is doing some small bakery on the corner and then he's employing people. Somebody is doing some small, chicken and something on the side and then he's employing people. Smoothies on the side and he's employing people. Micro businesses. This is what built America. We are talking about creating jobs. You don't need to go and build a big factory and employ 300 people, when indeed you can have maybe 100,000 micro businesses, and each of them will employ even one person.
And they all contribute to the tax debt as
well. They all
well.
contribute to the tax debt. So until we have a national discourse on how we want to, because we, just about 4 years ago, we had Unemployed Graduate Association. That tells you that our job market is not big enough to accommodate the graduates that are coming out of our schools. So we're going to have a backlog if we don't have a plan for them. So why don't we begin to have a national discussion? I think this government is doing quite well on entrepreneurship. That they have NEP, they have Ministry of Business Development, they are giving some funding. But I think that the discussion should be broadened, and let's get stakeholders. Let's let them come and share their experiences. They should contribute to what the ministry is doing. They don't sit there alone and decide and think, okay, it's the best. Get the stakeholders. Let them contribute. Have a national dialogue on it. And you'll be surprised the ideas that could come up. Then we can overcome some of these challenges on the regulatory side. Well,
and so still on the challenges, I'll come back to you, Cecil, and then Anthony. But I have some messages coming from our viewers, and this is coming from James Kofi Eduyeboa. And James says, I'm watching from North Kaneshi. I'm really inspired by your program. Your panelists are all awesome. To me, they are just confirming that I am on the right path. Thank you guys for sharing your experiences. God bless you also. God bless you. Or what about me?
You're part of us.
I know. I'm called CEO.
Yes,
today.
yes.
So good evening. I'm proud of you guys, especially Tony. Looking at where he came from back in the days, the brand Caveman is one of one that we your friends are proud to talk about always. As we always say, we are just starting. They are not ready for us. Higher heights. This is coming from Eugene Cliff. Eugene Cliff. I'm sure you probably may know Eugene Cliff. If not, then Eugene, thank you for sending this to us. This is also coming from Race from Takrady. I'm a young lady who is in the 7th month of her startup. I got tired of looking for a job and started my own business. It has not been easy, but I can say you guys have really made my evening, and I just want to say God bless you fellas. Oh, you three guys have brought blessings today, pal. Anyway, guys, the phone lines are open, so feel free and call us and let's have a discussion. The phone lines are 0555-657278. Send us a call and then we'll talk. So before we left, we were on what?
Challenges.
Challenges. And
Yeah.
Cecil?
Yeah, one of the major challenges we want to be looking at is about worker attitude.
Specifically to your situation.
To my situation.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, the customer service bit in our workspaces is challenged a lot as a result of worker attitude. If you're running a one-man business, being the sole person, you want to put up the best to be able to keep your customers. But where you have employed about just more than even just 5, even 2, you'll be amazed sometimes the kind of attitude workers put up to drive away customers. And I'm very much particular about customer retention because they sustain your business.
Yeah.
Without a customer,
There's
your
no
product
business.
will be exactly. And so skills development is also critical because we tend to focus a lot on academics. Okay, now what do we do to our technical and vocational school graduates? Okay, you have a graduate from technical school who will want to go and sit in the office to work. He doesn't have the interest to want to go on the field and apply the skills he has learned. What is happening? Okay, because there is a certain type of mentality that we have craved.
Cecil, let me hold you on now because there's a caller on the line. Caller, good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
Hi. Well, your name
Hi,
and then where
good
you're
afternoon.
calling from.
My name is Henry Fry.
Hi, Henry. Oh, good to hear from you.
Yes.
So let's hear. What do you have for us?
Okay. First of all, I want to congratulate you, the team at the studio now. They're doing a very good job. Okay. But then I want to give out these few points, very, very key points. Experience is it's crucial that you bring in some people who can help you to grow the business along the way. It's advised that you get the services of the people. And accountability is very important. I've encountered a lot of young people who have started businesses, and they are unable to separate business money from personal money. When money starts, in the beginning, the business starts picking up because then the fire is there, the passion is there. But it's very important to start keeping records of all the money that comes to you so that you'll be able to separate your own money from the business money. If you don't do that, you realize that you will always be at the borrowing end, always borrowing because you don't know what you use the money for. Now, there's another point that is very important. That's the location of the business. People start business without considering where to locate the business. It's very, very key because you need to know where your customers are before you start a business. If you start it anywhere, anyhow, you will lose the market. Failure to understand your market means that hey, you are going to lose. So there's a few points I want to add up. And kudos to Steven, Tony, and Aomi. They are all my good friends. They are doing a good job, and I believe I can take some clue from this point of raised to be able to build a lasting.
All right, Henry, thank you so much, and we appreciate your call this evening. We appreciate your being part of this program. We know definitely that you're always going to be part of us, and I'm sure we'll call you again to be in the lounge.
Sure.
So just look out and wait for us. Yeah. And so I keep saying that this show is also supported by Casapreco Alumobites. I'll take a short break, and I'll be back. Please stay tuned. That was very, very short one, obviously, from Alumo Bitters. You've seen me sipping on something. It's anyway, I'll leave it here. Cecil.
Yes, boss. Yes, about the customer service bit, which is one of the challenges we face in this entrepreneurial space, where you have to employ persons to work for you. And so, and it boils down to training. Okay, do we have enough skills training, for such persons who have to find themselves working in a skilled environment, not an academic environment? Okay, so we need to want to pay a lot of more attention in our schools, especially the technical and vocational schools, in training these ones very well to be able to, get themselves well skilled on the field and also understand the dynamics in dealing with customers. Okay, and so when we're able to do that, because most of them come, when they're working in such skilled environment, they tend to feel as if maybe they don't really belong because they are not in the office. They have a skill that they're working on the field, and so they live anyhow and treat people anyhow, and so it creates a lot of problems. So we have to really find time, deal with that aspect of trying to really train or place much attention on our vocational and technical school, and also demystify that stigma that has been associated to works within the informal sector, so that it can put a lot of value in there. That can even help in reducing this unemployment rate. Okay, because you find that there are some people who have interest, or their passion, their career path is directing them towards works within the informal sector, but cannot venture in there because of stigma. I have gone through that a lot. A graduate in the car wash business, and so it's like, after all you've gone to learn at school, you're washing cars. You understand?
I get that. I get that.
That's a statement like that could come and hit you that hard. But for the passion and love I have for the job, okay, all that I learned from the university, I'm converting that knowledge in adding value to the business, and that is what has brought us this far. So this is my contribution.
Unfortunately, there isn't much time, but I'll be coming to you before we go. But before that, I'll take our messages from our one of our social media pages, which is on Facebook, and this is coming from Christabel Ajay. Christabel says, the secret about a perfect business is sacrifice. I believe, I'm sure all of us would agree to that. This is coming from Eugene Efiye Amankwa, and he also says, Nanayao, please tell Tony I greet him. Tony, you say they greet you. And so this is coming from Kofi Fred Kofi. Kofi said, capital in terms of business is based on the business type, but to say you don't need money at all, how do you get around locations where constructions and renovations are going on without transport? I'm sure that was, but I think we all agree that it's not in all the cases. Right? Some of them you do, others you don't really. And so we also have this coming from Valentine Apia. This says, interesting discussion, nice one. Okay, Valentine, thank you. This is coming from Nathaniel Kunto. This is the kind of topic and discussion we, the youth, need. The message our brains are and gives us a different view of becoming an entrepreneur rather than becoming someone's slave. This is harsh, but yeah, we'll take it. I mean, that's just the reality, isn't it? Yeah. So this is also coming from Emmanuel Boatin, Nathaniel Kuntomasa. Since when did, anyway, this is just a rebuttal to Nathaniel. And so thank you very much, guys. But I'll take the last one from you before we go. Tony.
Yeah, so, I think the whole mindset should begin to change. Our mindset should begin to change towards entrepreneurship. We have a system here which is like, you see the fishes, you see the dogs, the goats, the cows, all trying to climb a tree. And that tree is the system that has been laid down before us, and it has become like a norm. You have to. But we are all different. People have talents that they are scared to develop. But I believe that if your talent is maybe cleaning gutters, right? If you become the best in the world at cleaning gutters, you'll be fine. Just intensify what you are good at. Not half-half. So in my case, when I started selling watches, my mother was devastated. She was trying to get me a job at the bank, and I said, no, I won't take it. I'm going to sell watches on the streets. She almost collapsed, but I had to go on. Sometimes I go to sell a watch to somebody in the office, and then they sit me down. They're like, young man, what do you do? And I say, I sell watches. No, apart from that, what do you do? I say, I sell watches. Once you go and look for a job, how can a young man like you be selling watches at car parks? I had a bigger picture. I had to go from one place to the other to get there. So that dedication was there, the challenges was there. People were saying different things to me, but I had the focus and knew I had to go through it. And I haven't changed my mind ever since. So people should not be scared to find what they are good at, embrace it, and then go for it. That's one thing I would.
All right, Toddy. Thank you so much. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all I can say for now. But I think there's so much that we haven't touched on, and it will be good that we probably come back. If not next week, probably the next, and then do another. Are we saying yes to it?
Definitely.
So we are coming back next week.
Yeah.
Nice one. Coming back. Coming
All
back.
right. Yeah, coming back.
All right, so thank you very much for being part of this evening. We are grateful for your time. And it's the Men's Lounge. Join us every Thursday at 9 p.m. Today, there's been so much we have not been able to cover. We'll try and bring you a second part of this so that we can cover a lot more. Look, the reality is really there. The system, the money, the dedication, the sacrifice, it's all important. They are all important characteristics if you want to be an entrepreneur. Until next week, we'll say goodbye and have a very good night.